Hello, we are live for the first time in a long time. This time I do have my microphone on. I've done that before. I've turned the microphone off by accident. We're going to be talking about the Edgefull platform today. I'll look at the charts, etc. as well. Have a look at a few things that are going on in the market. But yeah, how is everyone? I appreciate not everyone's coming in 25 seconds into the stream. Yeah, it's been an interesting couple of days, isn't it? Let's go back to let's have a little overview, market overview. These are the last 2 days in the market. Really big red day today. Opened up, gapped up nicely. Obviously, the Meta and Microsoft earnings last night. Subsequently, a big drop down afterwards. So yes, not what the market wants to see, but you know, if you zoom out, just like this, it's perfectly normal. You know, we kind of expect maybe a retracement down to 625, 626, that sort of area. Yeah, pleasantries are out the way. Let's have a look at the Edgefull platform. We'll get this open. We'll have a little look around it. I tend to trade the power hour breakout report. But Edgefull, if you don't know, is a platform based around finding your edge in the market, essentially. So it's the probabilities of a trade going your way. So I'll go back to the main page so you can see. Zoom in. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. Good. Of course, this is that basically home. I mean, the home page is actually with all the videos and things, some tutorials which you can go through. Take a look and obviously learn the platform, different things you can do with it. There's so many reports, it's hilarious. So all the reports there, and then you can choose a report here on the left. You've got gap fill, initial balance breakout, which those two tend to be on the beginning part of the day. Obviously, I'm trading in the UK, so I will be working at that sort of time. Well, I do work at that sort of time. So I tend to actually click on the power hour breakout or power hour continuation. But that's more of a generic one. But power hour breakout. So, for example, we'll tap on that. Obviously, I'm not trading futures ES at the moment. I'm trading the SPY, for example. And then my date range, or you can select it to be kind of customized, so you can basically choose whatever day. So I had this idea the other day that you could actually choose it from the beginning of the bull run, because obviously that's where the kind of majority of the same sort of price action takes place. But for now, we'll keep it on 6 months. It's kind of a generic thing. So every trading day in the last 6 months will be recorded data-wise, and obviously this is the report it will basically produce, given what we've got selected here. So in the last 6 months, on all trading days, the power hour breakout report is basically showing if it's going to break the highs or lows of the day. So for example, today, obviously we have set lows and we're kind of trading near the lows. So the odds of it going below the lows in the last hour are not very likely. It's actually 16.3%. Should be able to see that on the screen there. So you can use that in your favor. So 16% likelihood that it won't happen. So there's 83% chance of it staying above this line. Now, what I like to do is actually play it alongside the IB breakout levels. I can understand this is really confusing, but I'm doing a session obviously now. I'm doing a session next week as well, which we could probably break down to a little bit further. But very simply, you basically select your report, look at the data. If you like the data, then you go switch to the chart. And of course, Edgefull, when you sign up for them, if you sign up for them, you can get access to all of their tickers, not tickers, indicators. So for me, it's all unlocked here. All of their indicators are here available for you to select. I only have the availability to have 5 indicators on a chart at once, just because it's my plan. But what you can do, which is actually a really helpful tip if you're kind of looking at this, just generally, not just for Edgefull. Up here, you've got your kind of presets. So you can come down. You've got Edgefull night, Edgefull day, which is obviously the other reports, and then my just kind of normal swing run, which I switch to every now and then. So yes, you can basically add loads more, I believe. I don't know how many you can actually create of them. Maybe 5, I think, top of my head. So I could create 2 more. You know, I could have a day trading one, or I could have an edge full kind of swing trading one, for example. And I can just switch them in between here. I'll keep this up on the screen, but I'll just switch through so you can kind of see. This is my swing one, so I've got moving averages. It's on the daily chart. And what I would do is switch to edge full day, and it switches everything on the screen to the data for the opening reports. So up here, we've got the indicators set: initial balance breakout, gap fill, opening retracement, opening candle continuation, which is obviously what you tend to use for the opening, etc. So then I can switch back to the night, which is what I'm on the other tab. And then you'll have the initial balance breakout, which is these lines that you see on the screen, which I'll talk through in just a second. And then the power hour breakout itself, which again, I'll talk to in a second. Actually, I might just talk to them now, but I'll switch back over to the chart I was on because it makes more sense. I will answer the questions in just a second. I'm just going to finish this this description. I do see them on the right side there, but we will take a look at this just for a couple of minutes while we're here. So you've got let's just take away all of the indicators. So it makes it nice and easy for you to kind of have a look at what's going on. Obviously, I've got volume as normal. I always like to have volume on the charts. And then, so what should we start with? Oops, what we'll do. Let's start with power hour breakout. So this is essentially the high of the day that's been set on the trading day. So this is set at 2:55, which in your time is 9:55. And obviously the low of the day was set fairly recently at 7:15. Yeah. And that's where the blue lines are, the high and the low. And this is when power hour started. So that is 8 p.m. for me, and I think 3 p.m. for you lot over there on the East Coast. Previous day's range is always handy to have on there. So obviously we did make a bounce on the previous day's low. So that's something to be aware of. We'll take it off for now. Obviously got the previous day's high up here as well. Engulfing candles, I don't know why I've got them on there, but it's just quite nice to see if you've got, you know, a candle pattern kind of playing out, then just having that alongside it does work, in my opinion. But I don't really use it too much. I'm not religious. It's just nice to have. And then the other one, which is the big one, which is initial balance breakout, which essentially is a report that actually plays for the opening part of the day, which is the first hour. First hour's trading here, which is set in this kind of box, the low and the high. And then it just sets levels from that box. So you see the range here. I'll draw it so you can kind of see it. So you see the range here. That's the box. That's the range that's been set on the first hour. And then you just basically add it down below. So that's 1, that's 2. And obviously the section in the middle here is actually 0.5. So 0.5, well, 0 to 0.5, 0.5 to 1, 1 to 1.5, blah, blah, blah. So another way of describing this is very simply by going onto it, go onto the settings, move it over a bit, just scroll down, and then you can see what I've just spoken about there. So minus 1.5, 1. So if I took away that, this one should disappear. And then obviously come back as normal. You can go all the way down to minus 4 if you're having a particularly bad day, which today is kind of like that bad day. But yeah. So for example, I could place a trade now. I'm not going to because the market is very frothy and I'm kind of in education mode, so it kind of works. It's a bit emotional, obviously, with everything that's going on in the last couple of days. Lots of PC kind of coming out, the earnings last night, Jerome Powell, FOMC. All of these things do affect the reports as well. So for example, you could actually place a trade now. Not saying do this, not financial advice, of course. Oh no, long position. This is your area of entry, this kind of IB level. Obviously, your stop loss would be just below the low of day because that's where the probabilities lie. 16% chance of it going below that. And of course, to the upside, you can play to this level if you're kind of scalping. This level will probably be a bit more sense because it's 1.5 risk to reward ratio. Or you can play it all the way back up to a previous trend line or support and resistance. But again, we'll dig into that a little bit later on if we get there. spoken about a lot. Thoughts on Neo today? Well, I mean, it's done pretty well, 10% up. I think, well, last time I checked, the market's taken a bit of a tumble since I last checked, so it could be anything. 9%. That's not bad, actually. It's not bad at all. One thing I am really looking forward to is Rubric. Rubric is doing quite well recently. Needs to go swing. A nice little breakout yesterday. Beautiful candle. I'm just waiting for it to kind of get to 101, which is one I've been posting on for X for ages. But yeah, thoughts on Neo? That's the original question. Let's have a look. I think the chart actually is pretty good. So we've had a really nice bounce at that 450, 460 level. Another level that I mentioned on X recently that was kind of in contention. Obviously, lots of other people said it too. It's not just me. I'm no guru. I've been wrong on Neo so many times. But it's all part of it, you know. That's why we like trading, etc. But what we need to see now is a break of this 522 in the next couple of weeks. And of course, we do have delivery news tomorrow. So that would be a catalyst if, you know, Envoy's taken off. We do have the release today of the L80. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yep, another vehicle on the market for Neo, which is good news. So that's my thoughts on Neo there. We have got thoughts on the US futures being up pre-tariffs tomorrow. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, the market, the way it's been, you can see. Let me switch to a 15-minute chart so you can kind of really see how choppy it's been. So this was last night, obviously FOMC, big drop down, brought back up. It was actually the hourly moving average, I believe. And then obviously pumped up nicely with the basically the earnings. It was nothing to do with FOMC, it was earnings that brought it up. Obviously Meta and Microsoft pumping it back up. Really nice movement through the night as well, and obviously dropped down below previous all-time high line, which is this orange line on the screen you see. And obviously just caved down today with the PCE news. Probably the most catalyst, maybe people just taking profits heading into August, which is completely fine. It's normal. August is typically the worst month of the year. So write that down in your notebooks, everyone. August, not so good. What was I originally talking about? Oh, yeah, being up pre-tariffs tomorrow. I'm not going to make any assumptions or anything like that, but yes, I mean, it very well could be, because obviously tariffs is very hot in the market at the moment. So, but yeah, trade accordingly. So this would have actually been quite a nice trade if you did get in at this level. So this is back to the Edgeful platform briefly. Yeah, so you would have got in here at the IB level, and then obviously you could have taken some small profits here. And then another section of profits there, another section of profits here. So it's about using these lines that are already on the screen. I'm going to show you again how to actually initiate that, because I think when you open the IB, this is what it's called, IB, initial balance. Oh, let's get that off the screen. It's been a while since I've gone live, actually. Look how good it was. I enjoy going live. Where did that go? Where did it go? Nope. Yes, so I was going to show you the levels. I mean, I think most people would have just 1 to 1.5 because of the nature of the report. The nature of the report is to obviously trade the first hour and then go from that first hour down, up or down. Let me just get rid of these lines because these are quite distracting. I should have done that first, really. I don't want to delete the line. I just want to hide it for now. Okay, right. That's a bit easy to see, isn't it? Yeah. That's right, Jeff. Down 6K this week, should have taken profits. Hindsight's, you know, that's just part of being a trader. You know, you wish things happened. If you knew it was going to happen, you would make a decision at that time, wouldn't you? But that's just all part of being a trader, isn't it? What was I saying? Initial balance breakout. Yes. So the nature of the actual report is to trade within this square here. And obviously, subsequently, it did break down below that, and then it went to this level where it had a nice little bit of a bounce here. And then obviously, subsequently, went back down to this level and bounce. So you can literally just play from the initial balance breakout report down to these lines. But you don't just do that. You have to use the data to do that. That's a different video. Maybe we can go into that next week, initial balance breakout report. It's a great report. It's actually one of the main reports on the Edgeful platform, generally. So yeah, going back to the levels, that's why I add them on, because I trade at the end of the day. So you can go all the way to kind of 3 and -3, and then obviously those levels then populate on the screen there for you. So you've got those natural levels. And remember I said that these levels are just a replication of this size of the box. So all of these levels are different per day, depending on the first hour's price action. So 1, 2, 3, etc. What are your thoughts on the earnings tonight? We've got Apple earnings and Amazon earnings. It could be an interesting one. We've got 15 minutes until that happens. I mean, Apple won't come out till half past after market. I mean, what I should say is, if you are interested in the Edgeful platform, it's in the description below, or in my bio, of course. Let's go back to the actual platform. Makes sense. While the market is again tumbling down, this is why I'm not taking the trade. The market's way too frothy this week. There's too much going on, and it's not the best time to start buying in the last hour, because you can see it's just giving it all back. So you could re-enter here if you wanted to, but the way that this price action is played out, it's not ideal, because it looks like it might actually set a new low of day with a bit of panic selling towards the end. But the likelihood of that happening is 16%. So it is unlikely. So going back to this report then, you can see that all right, can't you? Maybe zoom in a bit. Yeah. With this report, one of the things I like to do is actually do it by day. So this is the power hour breakout report. Just general data from the last 6 months, but you can actually go to choose sub report, and we're currently on standard. You can actually go by weekday. They've just added this today, I think, by open, which I'm going to have to look into that and see what that actually does, because they literally released it today. So that could be interesting to see. So by weekday, touch on that, and obviously today is Thursday, so we've got the data for Thursday. What you'll notice is Wednesday is always a bit different, because obviously the FOMC is played into that. So in the last 6 months, we probably had like maybe 2 or 3 FOMC reports, meetings, should I say. Obviously, each day has their own kind of results. Thursday actually being the lowest by the looks of it on the new low of day. Oh no, sorry, Tuesday was 12%, Monday's 13%. So yeah, I mean, there's still 16% chance of it making a new low. But of course, 16% of the time that has happened. So of course, you do have to bear that in mind when you're risking what you're risking. The insights here on the right side, obviously you've got the frequency of which a new high of day has been made, which is 7, and that's a percentage which you see on the screen here, 29.17%, 29.17%. So all of the data that you see here is basically just written down on the right side, added with the amount of days. So the total days we've had in the last 6 months is 24 days. I don't know why they had the percentage there. I guess that just has to be an input. And of course, a new low of day has not been made 20 of those 24 times. Let's see what's happening. Big red candle going into the close. This could be funny, actually. This could be one of those days where it actually happens. There is still 10 minutes left of the market, and that is a nasty candle. What you really could see is a is a rapid little bounce off of this line and then not make a, which would be insane for a trade. So you've got in here, stop loss nice and tight. You could probably drop it even a little bit lower if you wanted to. And obviously have that kind of 3 to 1 and go into the close. But that is extreme high risk, and I would not put much on that. But you kind of get my thesis on that. I haven't seen many other people actually trade like that with Edge for platform. I could be wrong, but yeah. We've got to go to the close today. So if you've got any tickets you want me to cover in the next 10 minutes, we're going to go to the close. I'm going to keep it to a half-an-hour session today because I think we've covered quite a lot. I don't want to cover too much more because it just gets a bit too confusing. But if you are interested, obviously there is a link in my bio for this, and then of course on YouTube in the description. But I will be going live every Thursday for the next, foreseeable future, talking about the platform and using it to our advantage. Unfortunately, today wasn't meant to be in terms of taking a trade. It's just way too risky at the moment with the market. I mean, you can see now. Where did I put that? I'm gonna leave it there because it is a little bit of fun going into the close. So you can have that there. So that could be a potential trade. In fact, that's 5 to 1. You could actually make that 3 to 1. As you can see just here, 3 to 1 trade. So you can have that set in stone. I think it's going to make new lows. Yeah, it looks like new lows. I had a feeling that might work. That might happen. Makes sense with everything that's going on. One thing that should be said for the edge forwards, if you scroll down, so this is the report screen that we've been talking about in this session. There's a really handy video that you can just watch. It just describes basically what it is and how you can use it. And there's a couple of good chart explainers as well. I've touched on it, of course, in this video, but you can see essentially what we're looking for. The low of day before power hour, the high of day before power hour. It's just about breaking that. It's a new low of day down there. So you can, and that's the same for every report. So if we change report to, I don't know, let's go to gap fill report. Obviously, you've got the day today. The gap's already been filled, of course, because the day is basically done. Not all gaps fill, of course, and that's what the data is for, is to show you how much chance that the gap is going to be filled. So today there was a 75% chance that the gap was filled, 80% chance gap is filled as well, and a gap up and a gap down. And of course, the explanation video which I was talking about, and the graphics of all different types of gap fills. And the gap fills are a really interesting one actually, because you can change the percentage. So what I mean by that is, so the fill percentage. So the gap, say a gap is you gap up 1%. So you're gonna retrace that 1% back. Just using figures as a simple thing here. You can actually set it as 50% fill, which is actually 0.5% of the fill. It doesn't make sense, but imagine a gap. Let's just draw a gap. This is the gap. Oh God, I pressed too many buttons there. There we go. This is the gap. Price action starts here. This is the gap fill, but the 50% line would actually be halfway, of course. You can change that to basically whatever. You can actually just go further than 100%. So yeah, no. Yeah, we're dumping into the close. So that 16% will now be higher. Where am I? There I am. It may not populate this straight away, but I always do that when I've actually got bookmarks over here, but I always do this. 6 months, so 16.353% will actually be higher now, a bit more of a higher percentage because of today's price action being, a new low of days set. And that's it really. That's what I've got to cover for the Edgewood platform and kind of what today's trading action. Obviously, we didn't take a trade today, but we did have a little bit of fun kind of talking through the lines and the thesis. It's just one of those days where there's just too much going on at the moment. It's too volatile for you to kind of warrant taking a trade. Of course, you can take that trade. Depends what your risk appetite is. But yeah, no. That's it for today. Thank you for joining the stream. Really appreciate it, and catch you next Thursday. Don't miss it. Take care.